up, everyone? So I'm here back with David, and we are at Highline.
Yeah, it's called Highline.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Highline NYC. My favorite
Highline
place in the
NYC. I just came back from Virginia, from Liberty University school yesterday. Had to meet up with David. Y'all got us 1,000 views today. So for our introverted into for our thanks, man. Appreciate it.
That was pretty quick too. I'd say that was like
that was 5 months. That was just 5 months ago, and that was like the last time I saw him too. So
true.
Thanks. I just wanted to say thanks for that. Woke up this morning. That made me happy. And ironically, we just came out here to talk, and somebody asked me a question. One of my ENTJ friends, she asked me, how have I developed my introverted intuition? And I was like, you know what? I could write out a whole list for you because there's a lot of things that I've done. I feel like it took me like a year and a half, 2 years to like get it up to where it's at like right now. And it's still even being developed. Like it's something that I'm always going to be sharpening. But I was like, you know what? I think that's what a lot of people are asking. And I think it'd be great since I'm meeting up with David right now. We're out in a public place. As you can see, there's people behind us walking by and everything. So hopefully you can hear us. And we're just going to briefly talk about, well, you know how I am. Briefly, we don't know. But we're just going to like talk about like...
briefly. Sorry.
We're going to talk about how we individually develop our NI and use our NI.
The number one way I noticed my own NI is going back to the foreshadowing that I mentioned in the last video. That's how I see my life. So, and I'm a huge like movie buff. I just really like to analyze movies and see where they're going. I don't watch trailers. I don't watch the trailers for any movie that I like unless it's like for a brand new movie that doesn't have any existing franchise out. I won't watch the trailers. Like from any Marvel movie, I'm gonna see it regardless anyways, so I don't waste my time. Even for like the newest Black Panther movie, I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't actually plan to see it. It just kind of popped up, so I had to watch it. But just from that alone, I'm not seeing anything else Black Panthers. Anything that has to do with Black Panthers, I'm avoiding it completely. I haven't seen any Spider-Man trailers recently. It's like
July 7th, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not watching anything. So I'm just gonna go see it, and I don't want anything to be ruined. And that's why I don't watch the trailers, because once I can figure out what's in the trailer, I can piece together the whole movie. And like once I go to the movies in like the first 5 minutes, I can see exactly how everything's gonna play out. And unless the movie has a good surprise, that's how I become fond of movies. Unless that movie has a good surprise, then I'm not going to be satisfied with it, because I'm going to see I'm going to see what I thought planned out actually happen, or it's not going to have that result, and it's going to be disappointing for me because I could have seen a better way that they could have ended the movie. For people who are trying to train their NI, I would say watch a movie, but pause it in the middle and try and figure out what's going to happen next, either immediately or what's going to happen at the end, most preferably. And then try and piece it together and see if that outcome comes out right. That way you can figure out, for like say if you're an ENTJ or you're an INTJ or if you're an ISFP, you can figure out what's going to happen next and figure out a plan of action to counter or to go along with whatever you think is going to happen. And if it happens that way, then good. If it doesn't, that's good too, because you're not always going to be right. And that's the biggest thing about NI, is that it's not always right, but it uses the information it has to figure out the best possible outcome.
Just real quick, for those of you who don't know what NI is, it's the perceiving process that all NJs use. So INFJ, INTJs, they use it as their dominant function, and then ENFJs and ENTJs use it as their auxiliary function. And basically, like, you guys can look at our video together. We talk about what NI is over there. Y'all can also check out my metacognition video. I talk really deeply about what NI is on that. And my video on, what was it? The cognitive functions. You can check out my perceiving function videos. I talk about NI on that one as well. But in short, NI is basically observing the pattern of your own mind and retracing your thought process. And NJs use that so often that eventually they're able to quickly understand how other people's minds work and even project like understanding like how the future is going to carry out. And so when you're using NI, like metacognition, basically, then you're observing your own mind form patterns from like third person, basically, and you're retracing your thought process. Like, wait, I'm on thought D. How did I start thinking about dogs? Oh, that's because I was thinking about this, which thought about that, which led to that, which led to that. And then when you start looking at other people, then it's like, oh shoot, I can understand where they're about to get to or how they got there. He's thinking about thoughts right now. Once you start doing that, then it's like, oh shoot, because you understand how your mind, your thought process works so often that all of a sudden now you're understanding how other people's thought processes work and what's going to play out in the future and how other people are thinking. And it's also being able to get into other people's perspective and understanding like, okay, I understand how you were thinking in this way, and etc. It's also like an internal like mind running thing. Yeah.
Information gathering. Actually,
processing.
Yes.
Processing. It's in the back of your mind and it's just processing like information unconsciously. So
right.
Then you'll have like NJ, so like just have like sudden aha moments. Like, oh shoot, they didn't even think that they were like thinking about that, but they were, because their mind was just like
running in the background.
Exactly. That's basically what it is. So yeah, that was just, like I said, a brief run through of what NI was, but we're going to be talking throughout this video on how you can develop that as an NJ user and some of the problems that it is. And as I said, David's INFJ, I'm an ENFJ. So David uses it as a dominant function, and then he uses FE as an auxiliary, and then I use FE as dominant, and I use NI as an auxiliary. So although we use NI, we both use NI and it's both very strong, we use it in different ways.
Yes.
Especially him being an introvert, me being an extrovert.
There was a specific, I'm kind of like showing my cards here, but there was a time when I wanted to talk to a certain girl. And before I made any moves, I had to figure out, number one, what her preferences were. I had to figure out how she thought, so I kind of gleaned through her type as to give me some insight. I knew it wouldn't give me all the information I need, but I knew it would give me some insight. And that was exactly what I needed before I continued on with the rest of our relationship. I needed to figure out whether I wanted this type of person, or like how this person thought, to be in a romantic relationship with or in a platonic relationship with. So I began studying her type and profusely, just a whole bunch of different facts, information, just trying to gain from different websites. And he caught me doing it and he laughed at me, but that was just how I needed to process things and kind of like bring it all together to see what I wanted to do with that information.
I think that's actually very funny because INJs, so like INFJs and INTJs, they get a rap for like being the types that they'll watch, for example, 1,000 different skydiving videos before they actually go skydiving, if they ever go skydiving, because they have to live out everything basically in their mind and know everything about it and how everything is going to play out and the contingency plans and all of that before they're finally like, okay, let's go do it, if they decide to go and do it. Because SE, their inferior function, which is all about like getting in the moment and like getting into action and all of that, it's like, sorry, I'm losing my voice. That was embarrassing.
It's funny that you say that because I actually did that. My sister, she's crazy. I think she's ESTP, and she actually went skydiving, and she asked me if I wanted to go. It took me about a few days before I actually figured out, you know what, it's her birthday, let me go with her. But I Googled it first. And I still overreacted. I still freaked out all the way on the trip there. I tried to figure out what I would do and stuff like that. One of the best experiences I had in my life, but also one of the most terrifying at the same time.
You skydived?
I didn't tell you?
No, you did not.
Learning something new every day. That's actually what I did, and it's exactly how you said it. Like I figured out exactly what would happen if, I don't know, like the parachute somehow failed, and I knew that I'd be doing it with like an instructor and stuff like that. So I wasn't completely like terrified, but I was still hella scared. And I was just thinking about all the different things that might happen and what I would do in case of those emergencies. So there's that. Couldn't even stay in the moment if I wanted to. I know for a fact that NI loves metaphors and symbols. In fact, most of the time I'm thinking in images. Like when I'm remembering something, it'll be an image. Or when I'm thinking about something, it'll probably be an image and then I'll describe it. And that's a lot of my mode of communication. So I would say if you're really trying to get into the thick of NI and you really want to challenge yourself hardcore, interpret dreams. Go to dream. Don't try to look them up. Just try to ask your friends about their dreams and try to get a general understanding of what it might mean, and try to piece it together. You're not always going to be right, but usually when you are right, you're right on the money. Like you really get the general sense of what it might mean and how it translates. Try and understand the interpretation of dreams and try and understand of what different things might mean. Not necessarily the traditional understanding of dreams, of symbols and stuff like that, but try and figure out what the whole dream itself as a unit might mean. And I feel like once you start getting those more, you're right in the thick of NI and understanding not only the trajectory that you can get with NI, but also the interpretation and how you might pick up on certain things more once you realize what certain things mean, especially on a psychological level, because that's where the subconscious lives, in dreams. So if you can figure out what specific things mean and the symbols and the metaphors all together in a story, especially because dreams, they're not linear. They're always jumping in the middle of things and they're always constantly moving forward, but they come together for a certain meaning. They're trying to tell you something. And I feel like once you get in the thick of that, you'll begin to see your NI develop a lot more, and you'll start to see yourself being a little bit more eccentric because you're understanding things on a different level, and things aren't necessarily straightforward.
That's dope. I guess one comment I'll make on that is just like how David's already been saying often, that you're not always going to be as good with, you're not always going to be right with your NI. I like a metaphor that Antonia Dodge, I'm always quoting her, but she's just awesome. She's not an NI user, she's an NE user, so she's an NP. But basically, she used the metaphor that using your intuition is essentially like playing golf. If you just keep on practicing golf, you're not going to get a hole-in-one often, the first few times, but you're going to be getting better and better and better. Sooner or later, it's going to instead of getting a hole in 25, you're going to be getting a hole in maybe 7, hole in maybe 4, maybe even a few hole-in-ones, And so it's just something that you'll always have to practice, but the more that you develop it, the more that you practice it, the more accurate you'll be able to get with it because you're getting used to your golf club.
Right. That's good. That's good. That's good. Another thing about NI is that it usually has a vision. Now, the thing about the vision is that it's never always clear. It's never always clear. It's rarely ever clear. In the sense
very
that
abstract.
Yes, you get a general
very
sense
abstract
of what you want, and as you go along, then you'll begin to see it progress and you begin to see the fruition of it. However, once you figure out what your vision is and you're strong on that one vision, then you can begin to pursue it. If you actually take some time out to figure out the details of your vision, in the sense that you know where you want to go with your vision, you know who you want to impact with your vision, you know who you want to become with your vision, you know how you want to change people in the world with your vision, how you want to basically expand with your vision and figure out the intricacies of that vision, exactly what you want to do with it. Then you'll be able to figure out then it'll be more like a compass, in the sense that now that you're developing your NI, you'll figure out where you want to go with it. And if any type of any other opportunities come up, you know whether or not you want to progress with those new opportunities or decline them, which is very hard when you have a vision. So take some time out to flesh out your vision and figure out what exactly you want, where you want to go, and how you want to go about things before you move on. Because NI takes a lot of time to figure out all its moves before it makes one. Yes.
Boom.
Planning. Planning is not just for J's. I would say even for some P's plan too, but not to the extent of that dominant NI users, in the sense that we're not just planning for tomorrow or next year. We're planning for lifetimes. we're planning on how, though we may not have all the answers to something, we're planning on the breadth and the expansion of how something will work. So you're not just planning for tomorrow's luncheon. You're not just planning for next year's community gathering. You're not just planning for your company's growth. You're planning for how far this will go even beyond you in terms of legacy, which I know you speak on sometimes. And you're planning on how this can actually remain standing. Like, think of it as you're an architect for a building. And for this building, you need to know all the structures that will keep it standing. And if there's at any point of the building that's not stable as the others, then the whole thing will come crashing down much sooner than you expected. So make sure you're planning out all the intricacies of every step of the plan that you want and how you want to impact. And if there are any new opportunities along the way that you want to make sure that those coincide with the original vision and that it goes along with the original plan, so that you don't need to like kind of like wing it at any point. Even though you might wing it, you're still going along with the original vision, and that you have a backup plan and a backup plan for the backup plan, because those are always essential.
Contingency
plans.
Be like Batman, ENTJ.
Said it.
He got a plan for everything that could go wrong in the future.
That's it. Be Batman.
So now I'm about to list off a few things that I use in developing my NI, and the first one is basically using the shower, the train, going on walks, staring out the window at Starbucks, etc. I'm basically talking about like allowing yourself to sit with yourself. Allow yourself to be totally deprived of sensuality. So like basically like right here, where we're sitting right now, like, you know, there's like 3 girls sitting over there that are having a conversation about I don't know what. There's people walking around, there's like music over there, there's literally a girl over there that's like modeling right now and getting pictures taken and all that. There's a lot of different like distractions, and the best thing to do is to put yourself in an area where you can like focus on your own mind, not the things that are going on around you. So a place where you can just sit down and like daydream without like being like, you know, interrupted. So usually I talk about like, you know, shower. I made a whole video called Shower Portals, and I basically described the shower as a place where as soon as I step into the shower, like my phone is gone, everything is gone. It's just me and the water. And as soon as that water is like hitting my back and everything, and I'm like, you know, just washing myself or whatever it is, I'm automatically like whisked away into my own mind. And I'm thinking about, you know, inevitably, I'm thinking about like my desires, what I want in the future. You know, I'm reflecting over past instances and getting like the symbolism behind it, you know, the meaning behind it, stuff like that. And you can do this like especially here in New York City. On my way up here, I was on the, down here, I was on the train, and as soon as it goes underground, everybody just puts their phone away because, you know, like, or they'll start playing games. I'm not really like a game player on my phone, so I either read, which is another way of developing your NI, or I just sit down and I just like zone out. Zoning out as an NI user is literally probably the best things that you can do. Well, it depends on how often you're doing it. You don't want to like just keep on zoning out like as your friend is talking to you about their life problems and all of that, you know? So, but find times to zone out and just really like be in the garden of your mind, and that's a great way to develop your NI. You cannot have enough information. NI, if I was to portray it as a GIF, it would be an ongoing trail of just like understanding. You can never get enough information. You can never completely understand stuff. This is why I love MBTI so much, because people are so intricate that even though I would consider myself like adept at MBTI, a professional at MBTI, I would consider David as a professional at MBTI and everything, we do not know even 50% about like everything there is to know about MBTI, because people are so intricate. There's always so much more to learn, and that's all about like gathering like information. So I highly advise like reading. You only have to read 3 books on one topic to be considered a professional in that topic. That means that if you've read 3 books on airplanes, then you already know more about airplanes than 90% of the population. And so in libraries, there's books on like everything. You know, there's a professional in every single area. If you want to become a genius, all you have to do is just provide that time, make that time to actually read and fill your mind with that knowledge. The thing is, we choose not to because we want to fill our minds with like trash or doing. This is the truth.
Nobody thinks about filling their mind with trash.
You guys know what I mean. We're just doing like stupid stuff, or we're like watching stupid stuff, or we're reading stupid stuff. I'm saying be productive with your time. Instead of like always listening to like music that's probably not like beneficial, now I choose to either read a book or even better, well not better, but like just as equally as much, listen to a podcast. A lot of us who have iPhones, we probably never even knew that there was a podcast app. I highly recommend Personality Hackers podcast. They have so many great podcasts on there and everything. And a lot of times when I'm just taking a walk, I just allow myself to listen to one of their podcasts so that I can reflect on it, you know, and just have something to chew on, for my mind to chew on, instead of like listening to music that I'm listening to like all the time or something like that. David was talking about if he watches trailers for certain movies and everything, then he's able to predict like everything that's gonna happen, and so he avoids that or whatever. I don't really have that problem. Like, I think I can control predicting it, and I've predicted it a lot of times, but I still enjoy it anyway because I like being right. And then also, I feel like it's really fun for me to get the certain insight from it as well. So
I feel like for me it's different. Maybe I don't want to make it sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I want.
Go ahead.
It's more like I guess I'm so used to figuring out the plot and that being right is actually boring. I feel like it's more fun for me now. Like maybe this is where you can like test when your NI is like super, super, super high and not just like really, really adequate. Where like you can like you get tired of being right for like the plot sequences and stuff like that. Where it's just like man. Where it's actually more exciting if you're a little bit wrong or you were off, and the outcome is actually better than what you had perceived it to be. Because if that happens, I don't know, it's just delicious. It makes it more interesting because it's just like left field.
I agree with that. And I think that what I was going to actually say was that I think for me, the reason why it's so enjoyable anyway is because of the insight that I get from watching it anyway. So even if I was able to predict how it would come out, certain events that happen in the movie, such as like X-Men Apocalypse, I got so much insight from that movie. I can make a whole MBTI video on that. Maybe I'll do that one day. And it's so much insight from that movie. I got insight from Wonder Woman as well.
That's true.
And and I just the music went down, so I don't feel like I have to like strain myself as much. From getting that insight is just so much fun for me, and I believe that watching certain TV shows like The Blacklist, I get a lot of insight from there. The Flash, you know, Arrow. I like all of these. Graceland. You guys need to watch Graceland. ENTJ, Paul Briggs. Y'all would love him, or you would hate him.
It's
you know,
either or, really.
It really is like an either or. But yes, like just watching certain TV shows, you get certain insights from them, and that's an incredible way of like being able to develop your NI. Even Zootopia, so much insight from that movie as well. So much insight from Zootopia, and it allows you to be able to have a lot of information on people and how people work and digest that information, especially when you know about MBTI, because then you know about all their types and you type the characters, and then you're able to understand like how people are like coming out.
If you have like an INTJ or an ENTJ, they might work better with systems of like maybe, I don't know, tech or systems of companies or systems of, I don't know. NI can be used differently, but for us, of course, it's gonna be insight for like more towards people and social projects and stuff like that. So
personal development.
Right.
That's what I use mine for. Personal development for myself, for other people, casting my vision.
Right. So I feel like so if for
Like I said, make sure you're in an area deprived of sensory.
distractions.
Yes.
Distractions are hella annoying for NI. Study how INTJs use their NI. Study how successful ENTJs use theirs. Figure out the best ways to whatever system
Is
you're
there such
studying.
thing as an unsuccessful ENTJ? Go on.
Yeah, figure out what other people are doing in their field, in their respective fields, and figure out the best plan of action. Like figure out, like basically try to absorb as much knowledge from their plan of action and their pursuits, and try and put them all, make a combination of all the ones that you like, and then figure out what you're gonna do with all that information, and then proceed to make a plan as to how you're gonna go about things on a small scale as well as on a large scale. So that's short-term planning and long-term planning. We'll just put it together and figure out, like sit with yourself and figure out how you're going to go about things from that point on, and you're golden. Once you figure out all the information that you need, you'll never have enough information, but once you have a substantial amount of information, then you can plan, and then you can proceed into pursuing those plans.
All right, and so the last thing that I just wanted to say on developing your NI is engaging in discussions and understanding other perspectives, even if I disagree. As y'all hopefully know, I'm a very devout, strong Christian. I firmly believe in my beliefs and all of that, but I also see the perspectives of a lot of other faiths. I've looked so deeply into Satanism. I'm not a Satanist, but I could argue argue Satanism to you, and I could explain to you right now why they believe what they believe. I can explain to you why Muslims believe what they believe. I can explain to you why atheists believe what they believe, and even Buddhists and all of that, and just understanding their perspectives. And once you're able to understand other people's perspective, that is developing NI. Like Personality Hacker nicknamed the introvert intuition NI as perspectives, because like we said earlier, it's all about like being able to shift into the other person's perspective, because you've like perceived the own pattern of your own mind, and now you're able to do that with other people as well. Engage in discussions or for like TE users, engage in multiple forms of action, multiple plans of action to use, that other people have implemented, whether it's creative or traditional. Figure out like a plethora. You need like an enormous amount of like information of how they went about their plan of action, and try and figure out what you can gain from learning about that. It's all about gaining knowledge from different people or different systems. I like that you keep on bringing in the TE users, because no, like honestly, I feel like I keep on forgetting that NTJs aren't really as people focused because of their TE. They're more focused on what will get the job done, what is effective, what is efficient. And so if getting the job done, you have to like shift into another person's perspective or like other people, then they'll do it. So if you're an ENTJ or an ENFJ, because we have SE higher than the INFJs and the INTJs do, I would say the easiest way to explain this is that we have a more realistic view of the external world, and so we're much less likely to be afraid to just jump into stuff, and we don't allow our NI to load up to 100%. So I would say that I usually allow my NI to load up to like maybe like 75 to 80%, and then the last 20% I just go along with it, and I allow my intuition to guide me along the way. As opposed to like INFJs and INTJs, they basically allow their NI to load up to like 98%, 100% before they're like, okay, and they already know exactly the path that they're gonna take. They already have all these contingency plans and all of that. I would say try and find a middle ground. For the INTJs and INFJs, try to get into action. Like, you don't have to allow it to load up to 100%. Try to be okay with getting things. I know it makes y'all feel uncomfortable as introverts, but try and be okay with like just getting affirmation from the external world and like just jumping into it and allowing your intuition to guide you as opposed to allowing it to load up to 100%. And then for ENFJs and ENTJs, I advise that you slow down, which is the last thing that I have on my list. As soon as we get ideas, then we're just like, oh, let's go do it. Slow down. Slow down. Think about everything that you're like. Think about your vision. Like, really process your vision. Allow it to manifest. Take those showers. Take those walks. Take those train rides, and really sit down with your thoughts. How you're gonna make your vision become a reality. Slow down. Allow that NI to load up a little bit more before you jump into action. Retrace your thought process, the footsteps of your thoughts, like often. I talk about that in the metacognition video, so if y'all want to go look into that, like I'm not going to put that in this video, but like just retrace your thought process often. Like when you find that when you got from point A to point D, figure out, wait, how did I start talking about or thinking about phones? Oh yeah, that's because I was talking about chargers, which was because before that I was talking about this because I was talking about that. And that'll make more sense when you watch the metacognition video. It's annoying. That'll make more sense when you watch the metacognition video. But yeah, slow down, retrace your thought process, engage in discussions, understand people's perspectives, understand other people, and
for mine, it was watch more movies or even read more books and stop in the middle or stop at certain points and see what's going to happen next. Gain more information, do a whole bunch of information gathering before you do anything else, whether it's in your external world or just gaining it from other people or other sources in general.
TV shows, all of that.
Anything and everything can be inspiration for the key to you unlocking what else you want to do. Then take that information and plan. Figure out an A plan, B plan, C plan, and make sure it all goes in with your vision. And make sure that you fleshed out your vision before you do any of that. And make sure that it's what you want and it's consistent at any step at every point of your path. You figured out, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. If anything happens, I can rely on C plan, B plan, D plan. And if any opportunities arise, it'll still go along with my vision because this is what I want to achieve. There's always an end goal, even though it's really super far away. I like to think of it as like a long road that you keep going down, and there's a star leading the way. You're trying to reach that star, and you'll never actually get there, but you'll keep going along that path in pursuit of that star. And you'll keep going, and you'll get really, really far. And because you're so focused on reaching that star, you'll get much farther than you actually anticipated at first, because everything has led up to that point. And when you look back, you realize, whoa, I really came very far. Whether or not you reached that goal or you just came close, you realize, wait a minute, I've done a lot and I've achieved a lot. And that's because I've used my NI as a compass to guide me on this path.
Thanks, y'all, for watching. Thanks again for 1,000 views. I'm hoping the volume of this video isn't like too much. I was literally like straining my voice like the whole video, but whatever. I'd rather be too loud than too quiet, I guess. And yeah, I think that's about it. You have anything
See
else
you guys
to say?
in another 5 months.
For sure. Done.